Welcome to the deep dive. So, when tools like ChatGPT just sort of exploded onto the scene back in late 2022, it wasn't just about changing how we searched online, was it?
No, not at all.
It sent these massive ripples straight into classrooms all across Europe.
Huh?
Suddenly, generative AI wasn't some, far-off concept. It was right there, a homework helper, sometimes an admin tool.
Yeah.
And the discussion that followed, well, it's become really intense, hasn't it? About its role in schools, colleges.
Yeah.
It needs urgent focus.
It really does. I mean, the sheer speed of it all has forced education systems, both in the UK and the EU, to face these huge strategic questions.
Yeah?
About being ready, about governance.
Yeah.
And you see this tension. The UK government, for instance, sees AI as, fundamental for breaking down learning barriers, creating opportunities.
Right.
But actually getting it into schools safely, effectively, that's facing real hurdles, particularly around staff knowledge and, crucially, student safety.
That's exactly the tension we want to dive into today.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to really understand how the UK and the EU are handling this job, embedding AI literacy into education, and maybe why their approaches look so, fundamentally different.
Yeah.
So, to kick things off, maybe we should establish what we actually mean by AI literacy. Because it's definitely more complicated than just knowing how to write a decent prompt, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We've got to move past just, technical skills, AI literacy. It's really a whole set of abilities. It's about being able to critically evaluate these AI technologies.
Critically evaluate. Okay.
Yeah, and communicate with them, collaborate effectively with them, and use AI responsibly, whether that's at school, home, or, eventually in the workplace. It's becoming a core part of just being a citizen in the 21st century.
Not just for the computer science geeks anymore.
Exactly. Not a niche topic.
And our sources, they break it down into 4 key areas, which I found pretty helpful, actually.
Yeah.
Sort of structures the thinking. What are the first couple of things leaders need to make sure people get?
Okay, so first, it's about knowing and understanding AI, like the basics of how it works, what machine learning actually is, and importantly, its inherent limitations. Things like bias.
Right, the built-in bias.
Yeah. And second, you've got to learn how to use and apply it effectively, productively. Not just seeing it as some kind of magic answer machine, but as a real tool for creativity or organization.
Okay, and I think the third one is maybe the bit we're all still grappling with most right now, that critical evaluation piece.
Absolutely. That third part is, essential. The ability to critically evaluate the outputs and understand the limitations. This is where you run into those infamous hallucinations.
Oh, yes, the hallucinations.
Yeah.
Where it just makes stuff up.
Precisely. It generates things that are completely wrong or misleading, but presents them like they're facts. You absolutely have to be able to question what it gives you.
And the last piece is the ethics. That's where the policy really starts hitting the classroom floor.
Yes. The fourth element is understanding AI ethics. Things like accountability, transparency, fairness, making sure the tech aligns with, fundamental human rights. And the need for this basic knowledge, it's clear. The OECD and the European Commission, they've drafted this framework saying AI literacy just isn't optional anymore.
It's not a nice to have.
Not at all. And surveys back this up. Apparently, almost half of Gen Z young people struggle to critically judge AI-generated stuff.
Wow, nearly half. That statistic alone makes this next bit feel really vital. It's clearly not just about knowledge, it's policy. And like you said, that's where the UK and the EU seem to be taking really different paths.
Yeah, this is where the difference in philosophy really shows. The EU has gone for what you might call a regulation-first approach. They're setting the global standard here.
Yeah.
The EU AI Act, it's the first proper legal framework anywhere that sets rules for AI in education. And the crucial thing, it classifies all AI used in education as high risk.
Wait, hang on. All AI. Does that mean even simple things like a grammar checker or maybe software that helps teachers plan lessons? Or is it mainly the big stuff like automated marking tools?
Yeah.
That feels like a really wide net.
It is a massive net, and that seems intentional. Because education impacts fundamental rights, life choices. The classification covers those high-risk uses like anything influencing admissions or scoring.
Okay.
So for a school on the ground, they're often called a deployer in the Act. This means pretty heavy obligations. They have to demonstrate their AI use is appropriate, they need to monitor it, record how it's used,
And report problems.
and report any serious incidents, yes.
And this ties into that literacy requirement you mentioned.
Exactly. Tied right into that compliance burden is the mandate for literacy. The Act requires schools to ensure a sufficient level of AI literacy for all staff who deal with these systems.
So it's not just a suggestion. It's law.
It's a legal mandate. And if they don't comply, well, they could face civil liability if, say, an untrained staff member misuses the AI and it causes harm, maybe through biased advice or dodgy assessments. So that literacy piece is legally vital for ensuring there's proper human oversight, protecting rights.
Okay, that is definitely a very prescriptive, compliance-heavy way of doing things. Now let's contrast that with the UK. The Department for Education, the DFE. They seem to be coming at this from a totally different angle.
Yeah, completely different mindset. The UK DFE has taken a much less prescriptive stance. Their focus seems to be on encouraging innovation.
Right.
And they're sort of building their governance approach on frameworks that schools already know, things like UK GDPR for data, existing safeguarding rules, IP guidelines.
Which sounds good in theory, innovation first. But does relying on old rules designed way before this kind of AI even existed, does that maybe create gaps? Or uncertainty for schools compared to the EU's specific built-from-scratch framework?
Well, that's the strategic bet the UK is making, isn't it? Their government's AI Opportunities Action Plan, it explicitly says regulation should support innovation, not hold it back.
Support, not restrict.
Exactly. And this gets reinforced because regulators like Ofsted, they actually have to publish reports each year saying how they've enabled AI innovation in education.
Really? So they have to prove they're helping along.
Yeah. It sends a very clear signal. We prefer quick, supported adoption over slow, mandated, cautious compliance.
And we see even more stark contrasts elsewhere, right? I think Estonia was mentioned. They sort of skipped the heavy regulation but went straight for the curriculum.
That's right. Estonia is interesting. Their official guidance on using AI in schools is just suggestions. But AI literacy itself, that's mandatory. It's in their national curriculum for every kid ages 4 to 18.
Wow, from age 4.
Yeah, so it shows you can commit nationally to embedding those skills right away, even without a big regulatory stick.
Okay, so back to the UK. Despite the government's obvious enthusiasm, and they are putting money behind it, millions for AI assessment tools, funding Oak National Academy's AILA assistant.
Yeah.
What's the reality on the ground? How much AI is actually being used in UK schools and colleges right now?
Well, the reality is adoption is still really early stage. There was a survey in 2024, BET survey, found 69% of UK teachers said their school just hasn't implemented AI yet.
Wow, nearly 70%.
Yeah. And there seems to be this real knowledge barrier holding things back. While about half the teachers surveyed by the DFE said they personally use generative AI.
Okay, so they're trying it out themselves.
Right. But of those who don't use it, 64%, a big chunk, say it's just a lack of knowledge. And about 35% are really worried about the risks, bias, data privacy, IP infringement.
So that raises a big question. If the teachers themselves are worried, lacking knowledge, how can school leaders actually push adoption forward effectively? It can't just be about buying the tech, can it? Seems like you need a culture change first.
Oh, absolutely. It needs strategic leadership. It needs intentionality.
Okay.
What we're seeing in the schools that are early adopters is that they didn't just issue a mandate.
No top-down approach.
Right. They often identified an AI champion, maybe a teacher who's tech savvy or just really interested, and that champion's role is crucial. They help demystify the tech, address the real anxieties staff have.
Like a translator, almost.
Exactly. And the strategy has to be phased. The advice is focus first on teacher-facing tools. Things that actually reduce their workload AI for lesson planning, streamlining admin tasks. Get buy-in there.
Build confidence that way.
Build confidence, show the benefits to them directly before you start moving into the more complex stuff involving students.
And that focus on confidence must link directly to training, right? What kind of training do teachers actually want? Because I can imagine another hour-long abstract webinar probably isn't cutting it.
No, definitely not. The research is really clear on this. Teachers strongly prefer practical, hands-on training. They want workshops, opportunities to collaborate with peers, places where they can actually try things out, experiment.
Learn by doing.
Exactly, not just sit and listen to theory. And the data backs this up strongly. While being more familiar with AI does correlate a bit with interest about R0.4, it's the practical experience that really sends confidence soaring.
Yeah.
There's a huge correlation, RE0.81, between a teacher's interest in AI and their actual confidence in using it safely.
Wow, 0.81, that's massive.
It is. So if you want confident teachers, they need to be doing it, not just hearing about it.
Okay, so moving from confidence to safety, obviously this is critical everywhere, UK, EU, doesn't matter. The UK guidance, things like keeping children safe in education, they stress tackling those AI limitations, right? The hallucinations, the bias.
Yes, absolutely. And the key message coming through for leaders is there must always be a human in the loop. AI is there to assist, maybe augment, but never replace human judgment, human decision-making.
Never let the algorithm run the show entirely.
Precisely.
And what are the main safety zones, the big categories that leaders are finding particularly tricky to manage right now?
Well, the first big one is data and intellectual property, or IP. Leaders have got to make sure their staff really get the difference between protecting personal data that's governed by UK GDPR, needs a lawful basis, all that.
Right, the data protection side.
And protecting intellectual property.
Okay, can you give us a quick practical example? Like, what could a teacher accidentally do that messes up a student's IP?
Sure. Imagine a student writes this really creative, original story or maybe some unique code. If the teacher then feeds that into, say, a free online AI tool, maybe just to check the grammar or structure,
Yeah.
and that free tool uses the input data to improve its own model, its public training data, well, that student's original work, their IP, has just been absorbed without their permission.
Ah, I see. So the free tools are risky for student work.
Often, yes. They generally lack the kind of controls you get with enterprise versions, where you can specify that input data isn't used for training. That's why handling student data requires really careful tool selection.
That makes total sense. And the second major safety concern, that focuses purely on protecting the students themselves.
Exactly. Safeguarding. This is about making sure students aren't using free AI tools that might lack proper safeguards or don't have age restrictions, things like that. Leaders need to be aware of the real risks.
Such as?
Well, risks like students becoming over-reliant on AI. Or perhaps slightly creepily, developing emotional attachments to chatbots. And also the risk that they just bypass the actual learning. If the AI just gives them the final answer, they might miss the whole process of critical thinking and problem solving.
Right, shortcutting the learning itself.
Precisely.
So the big goal here isn't just managing risk, it's about weaving AI literacy right into the curriculum, isn't it?
Right.
So students become really effective critical users. What does that actually look like day to day?
Yeah, what does success look like? It looks like classrooms where students are explicitly encouraged to question, analyze, interpret, and critically evaluate whatever the AI spits out.
Don't just accept the output.
Never just accept it. Teachers should be modeling this using AI output as a starting point for discussion, for analysis, not as the final word. And this links really naturally into teaching AI ethics and digital citizenship.
How so?
Well, you can discuss bias in the outputs, privacy concerns, how algorithms work, right there in the context of relevant subjects, whether it's history, science, English.
Makes it real.
Exactly.
And ultimately, this is about getting students ready for the world of work, isn't it? Leaders are being pushed to show how AI is used in actual industries, connecting it to things like the Gatsby benchmarks on career guidance.
Yes, that's the bigger picture. The focus shifts to showing students, look, AI is already changing how films are made, how music is produced, how businesses run. By making AI literacy relevant to their future jobs, it stops being just another school subject and becomes a vital professional skill.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together. This whole journey towards getting AI literacy embedded in European education, it seems marked by this fundamental choice and strategy, doesn't it?
It really does.
You got the EU with its legal mandates, its high-risk label, driving compliance, and then the UK encouraging innovation, building on rules they already have.
Yeah, compliance versus innovation, that's a neat summary.
But whichever path they take, the message seems the same underneath. Both staff and students need structured, required knowledge about AI. It's not an optional extra anymore.
Absolutely. And the key takeaway for any leader listening, I think, is the need to develop really intentional long-term strategies. We have to move past this initial phase, this sort of Wild West where everyone's just reacting to the newest tool.
You need a proper plan?
You need a proper plan, policies that really secure educational success for the future.
Okay. Well, we'll leave you, our listener, with a final thought. It comes from an early adopter school leader, and it really nails the urgency behind everything we've discussed today.
Yeah, it's quite powerful. The speed of AI development is just relentless. And as this head teacher put it, We're only just at the start of this AI era, and the biggest risk is doing nothing and assuming that you can just continue as is.
The biggest risk is doing nothing.
Yeah.
A sobering thought to end on.